So everyone wonders what the definition of woke is. So this lady, she is a conservative writer and mother of two. She wrote a book. She's the author of Stolen Youth, How Radicals Are Erasing Innocence and Indoctrinating a Generation. She's also a never Trumper.
They already did that. Like, how they're doing it.
How they're doing it. They already
so
did.
These millennial punks that are in all these offices.
So she was asked, Kurt, what her definition of woke is.
Oh, I got things.
I got it. Ready? And here we go.
Of Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, you know, when we talk about traditional,
would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, I mean, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. It's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Yeah, look.
Boy, you didn't think she asked her to define what a woman was. that kind of a straitjacket.
How hard is it, Jimmy, to say it's the getting jiggy with it of my generation? How hard is it?
That's all you have to say.
It for some reason lasted twice as long.
Yep.
Shouldn't have.
Did they say anything else? Let's see.
Time.
Oh, no, that's it. That's all they said.
Well, Burana, who I like, Aaron also who I like, they sincerely will make a case for woke, like, well, it was a black thing and it wasn't. And I would say, no, I don't think it was. I think that they're really overhyping. Whatever she just said about the number of black people call themselves woke now, it's probably been always about the same. Because previously, woke was like conspiracy theory stuff. They call you a hotep. You know what a hotep is?
No.
The guys like, they hid the truth about Egypt and we didn't go to the moon.
Oh,
like
really?
Conspiracies were what was in woke. They've all been sanitized out of it now. 9/11 was done by possibly the Jews, that kind of stuff.
Really?
All this stuff, that was the fringe, because like 5%er stuff. Remember the 5%ers?
No.
Okay, a lot of rappers in the 90s.
All this stuff is, I don't know anything about this.
Chicago was segregated as hell. 5%ers was that religion that's like the gods and earths. Like Erykah Badu is where I first heard the term woke. Okay? I never heard anybody black say woke once before Erykah Badu, and then somebody latched onto it and took off. You could say it describes a thing if you want, but that thing included a lot of conspiracies that you would not be woke for saying now. Well, like the government invented AIDS, that kind of stuff.
Really? Okay, okay, so let me watch this one more time just because it's fun.
Of Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, you know, when we talk about traditional,
what does that mean to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Look out, here it comes.
So, I mean, woke is sort of the idea that
Come on, this is funny.
This is going to be one of those moments that goes viral.
Yes.
I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. It's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Yeah, look, it's funny.
It is hard to explain.
It is hard to explain. I couldn't have done better. When I first saw this on the internets, I thought she was a lefty woke person,
right?
And who couldn't define it, which would make it funnier than this.
I mean, think of every garbage thing you've heard in the last 10 years that is now completely corporate friendly.
Yeah.
And I think actually in the slides you have more.
Yeah, so let's go into what... So this guy, Jonathan Chait, says, I find the pile-on about this clip kind of gross. She may be wrong, but she's not an idiot. She just froze up on TV. It happens. And then this guy said, LOL, she's promoting a book on this topic, my dude. So she should have been a little bit... Woke is an adjective. This is what I got from Wikipedia.
Right.
It says, woke is an adjective derived from African American vernacular English, meaning alert to racial prejudice and discrimination.
Okay.
I think that's might have how when it started.
But they're really.
And then the next one is, what is another, this is from the dictionary.com. What is another word for being woke? Woke is also sometimes just used to characterize someone as hip or open-minded. No, it is not.
And also,
it is not.
I looked it up. It was like, because you never see what that, like that etymology, where it come from. There's a book from like 1962 where a guy, I can't remember the guy's name, but wrote. But one of the aspects of it was woke is the opposite of cool in many ways. So the people that would have been like your Erykah Badu kind of, all that like social conscious kind of hip hop back in the 90s, like PM Dawn and Common and all that. It was gangster rap was cool and hip, right? The like kind of Eartha, everybody's gods and earths shit. That was kind of, like I said, a fringe. The guy in the dashiki is like, no, my brother, we must not do this. The majority of people were not that. So now they made it hip. Like it became hip because it got co-opted like every other, that's the natural.
Being woke, you mean got hip, became hip?
Yeah, as soon as they start selling t-shirts and as soon as like white people pick up on it, that's the natural ecosystem.
And once you make important issues into hip trends, Kurt, then you make them cheap and eventually worthless.
Yeah, then they're not cool. You don't want to make like equality not cool, which is what you do when you make it a Nike thing.
Yes. So I just want to remind people the hyper focus right now in the culture on whatever you consider what woke is, what I would consider like everything is about racism, everything is about white supremacy, everything is about somehow LGBTQ, and it involves a phobe somewhere, and that's and that's all anybody seems to be talking about these days. And
it means blinders is what it kind of means now.
But why are those issues always front and center in our culture? Because the corporate media pushes those things. Why? Because they're a good way to divide the country. And that's all the establishment has. And also, they'd rather have you talking about that than talking about the fact that both political parties don't represent workers. That's why they're talking about this. That's why corporations embrace identity politics and all this kind of focus and hyper focus on these kind of cultural issues. Why do corporations embrace it? Because it doesn't cost them anything to do it, and they know they're screwing their own workers, and so it makes them look woke. It makes them look lefty. It makes them look virtuous. And that's why the Democrats are so, they put the kente cloths around their necks and they take a knee, and then they go and vote for another goddamn police department, and they fund it to $2 billion to go crush down more black people. So you see why they do, it's all symbolism, and they want to keep us fighting over that stuff. The Democrats want to keep us fighting over Black Lives Matter, even though they just invented a new goddamn police thing and funded it to $2 billion. They don't give a shit. You would think that's something Trump would have done after a summer of Black Lives Matters rioting. No, that's what the Democrats did. So that's why we're all talking about all this stuff. And you should always keep that in mind. The reason why we're talking about all this stuff is because the Democratic Party and the Republicans, but the Democratic Party decided to turn their backs on workers. And now all they have left, you remember when Chuck Schumer said, for every blue-collar worker we lose in cities, we're going to gain 2 and 3 white-collar voters in the suburb. And that's what their party is about. Their party is about college-educated white-collar voters who are conservative. We have 2 conservative right-wing parties in America. The Democratic Party is not left. And so that's why this is every day people are talking about this, because AOC, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, they all would rather talk about identity politics than talk about how they're screwing over the people of East Palestine, screwing over the railroad workers, not giving you a $15 minimum wage, not giving you health care, and they're sending $100 billion to in the most corrupt country in Europe while people sleep under every bridge in America. So that's why they'd rather talk about woke stuff and identity politics, just so you know. That's the whole point of that.
Have you ever heard the moronic phrase, you're being a class reductionist, Jimmy? As if class is the smaller microcosm and identity is the bigger thing.
I don't know what that means when people say...
It's an absolutely imbecilic thing. Number one, class is above your little skin color identity. Class is a bigger thing. You're switching the macro view and trying to pretend it's the micro view with that. So they go, oh, don't reduce race and stuff just to class, which is 100% class transcends that. That's why Kamala Harris.
Yes, class does transcend that.
Yeah,
right.
But now in the new, I guess that's part of woke. If the girl needs definitions for her thing,
so that's why black and brown and white Trump voters can organize together in the Amazon Union, because class, it supersedes that.
Yeah, the same dim bulbs that brought you the term Bernie bro also brought you that. Don't be a class reductionist. Identity politics, that's what's real important.
This guy says the definition of, to all these people, so I'm going to give you all these different people's ideas of what woke means, because everybody has their own idea. Nobody has, it started out, it might have started out as an adjective derived from African-American vernacular English, meaning alert to racial prejudice and discrimination, but that is not what it means now. It certainly, I never thought that's what it meant until I looked it up today, and that's what Wikipedia said. I'm like, that's what it means?
By the way,
I had no idea that's what it means.
By that definition, the Klan is woke, just so you know.
They're
very alert to discrimination.
They are very, that's right, they are very alert.
That's how you know it's nonsense.
They are very alert to it. This guy says it's woke means being bullshit identity politics that have usurped and replaced the substance of class warfare rhetoric on the left. I agree. It has usurped. Not that that stuff isn't important to talk about. We need to talk, of course, racism and discrimination of LGBTQ. Those aren't not important issues, but they have now usurped and replaced the class warfare rhetoric on the left, and that's a big lose for everybody. You know what would help LGBTQ people more than anything? Medicare for all, a living wage, education that doesn't bankrupt them, healthcare that doesn't bankrupt them when they get sick, infrastructure. That's what would. How about that? Same thing with all minorities. They want to help them, give them healthcare, give them an education, give them a living wage, and how about give them housing that's affordable? Excessive, shallow, and myopic focus on social justice. These are what people are saying on the internets. And then a friend of the show, Viva Fry, says, woke is the ideology of insincere fabrication of victims and victimhood through manufactured oppression, discrimination for the ultimate purpose of acquiring power through such victimhood and attaining undeserved social standing through faux outrage and virtue signaling. Now, I agree that that is often the case.
Yeah, he's not getting the corporate. The only reason this crap could keep going on is because these companies have completely, they got an ESG fund.
Yes. What does ESG mean?
Environmental social governance.
Okay.
So the scumbag from BlackRock, Larry Fink. I always used to laugh that the inventor of woke really is Larry Fink, a guy named Larry Fink. And so they have that's why this stuff is not even consumerist. It's like the movies nobody wants and the TV shows nobody wants. They're just getting money from these massive shadow banks. And it doesn't matter what you at the bottom end vote for or pay for or do whatever. It doesn't matter. They're getting venture capital to keep pushing this crap. So that's the sucker end of it is there's people that do that, but that's not, they wouldn't be able to power this. These people don't have skills.
That's right.
No one likes them.
That's right.
The companies because they don't have to do anything real. They can just stoke these morons up.
That's right.
And then you can fight them. I mean, I don't like them either, the blue hairs, but they're not enough to keep it going. You can't.
That's what I'm saying. It's been embraced by the establishment.
Yeah.
And the establishment now favors the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party turned their backs on workers, and that's why all they have to run on is this stuff. And they'd rather do the kente cloth and the kneeling, which is, to me, woke politics, virtue signaling. That's all that is, because they went and then funded a brand new police department, police organization to screw over more black and brown people. So this guy says, dude, the word has been used to describe anything from interracial couple in Cheerios ads to gay people in cartoons to vegan sausage. It's not a descriptor of a philosophy so much as a pejorative of all progressive culture and social change.
It is now.
It is now, right. Many people have similarly abused the term Nazi, racist, bigot, far right for the exact same reasons, because people abuse a term because people's abuse of a term or use it improperly doesn't mean it doesn't have a proper definition. Yeah, that's true.
Hey, what does cool mean?
Right?
It's a slang that they took and made it like it's a how would you even define that? It's everything and nothing, like MAGA.
No one else is trying to define it, including the state of Florida defines it like this. No one else that is trying to define it, including the state of Florida, defines it like this, meaning of how Viva Frei does. Is everybody else trying to define it wrong, or are you wrong? Or could it be that the word doesn't have any meaning and can be applied to anything conservatives don't like? I don't know.
That bugs me, dude, because they're that pretending now that I didn't invent that stupid word, okay? The whole media put that out. They sold T-shirts of it.
I know.
Okay, and now people don't like it. Oh, what is it? Everything you don't like? You brought that stupid word into my head, people that said that. Don't try to blame it on conservatives for pointing out that it sucks.
I like this. When I use a word, it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less, says Humpty Dumpty.
Oh, I thought that was Dr. Fauci that said that.
Get this. In Florida, focus groups, Florida swing voters are confused by the term woke.
Yeah, what does mojo mean, too?
I forgot. Reminder that when GOP lawyers working for DeSantis were forced to define woke in a court of law, under oath, their definition boiled down to the belief discrimination exists in America and should be addressed. Who boiled that down for you? Did you do that? I'd like to hear the pre-boiled definition, not just the way you decided to summarize it there, Patrick.
That guy's a moron, by the way. In general, that guy's one of the worst.
Oh, this guy, you know him?
He's like one of the people like, no, woke's actually a great thing. It doesn't even exist. What are you even talking about? And also, it's good. One of those kind of people? That's awful.
So the controversy will continue over what woke means. Will a country ever decide and come together on a definition of what woke means? Hey, wake me when it's over.
I don't know what it's going on my list of things I don't know what they mean. Let's see. Right, woke woman.
Go to jimmydore.com to see my new stand-up special, COVID Lies Are Funny. For only $10, you get to become a premium member, too. And come see us do our live shows. We're going to be doing stand-up comedy in Milwaukee, Nashville, Honolulu, Los Angeles, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, New York, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, Connecticut, Baltimore, Maryland, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.